Welcome to the Dominant Sexual Power Program, or DSP for short. My name is Vin Dicarlo. The Dominant Sexual Power Program is designed to establish a dominant masculine role, both in your first-time interactions with women, as well as your long-term relationships. The average guy is completely broken when it comes to maintaining sexual power in his relationships. He begs for sex, chases women, and overall puts them on a pedestal or a prize to be won over. That is not the natural order of nature. Attraction is more intense, powerful, and gratifying when the woman plays a supportive role to a man's dominant sexual power. Squares consider money, good job, prestige, or public recognition to be the only channels for having power with women. Not only is that very untrue, but leaning on these channels will do damage to your potential for cultivating a dominant mindset. When a person relies on these false sources of attraction, he'll begin to believe that his own masculine power comes from something outside of himself, which is 100% untrue. Your dominance and your true masculine power, which is the key to having sexual power with women, comes from the inside. This program will show you how to release it and start to leverage your God-given gifts. There are 4 main pillars of dominant sexual power. These are universal to many effective methods for establishing dominance. These were first introduced a few years back in a program I called S-Cubed, the Sexual Selection Switch. Those 4 pillars are vision, compliance, shaping, and sexual tension. These 4 pillars are used to create what we call a sexual identity. The Dominant Sexual Power Program is light years ahead and a massive upgrade to the original and now classic S-Cubed. It is more centered on focusing on attitude and internal mindsets that help transform your behaviors. The Dominant Sexual Power Program is designed to be a 6-month course to guide you through an internal transformation. Rome was not built in a day, and it's simply not enough to use a technique here and technique there, hoping that one day it just clicks. And each month we will focus on different components, first building a solid foundation, then adding one layer at a time until the transformation is complete. The end result of the Dominant Sexual Power Program is a man who has one or several women in his life who support him in his endeavors, put extensive work and effort into making him happy, who initiate or even beg for sex with him and are totally fulfilled. So the first part is vision, and here with me today is my trainer Brian and my trainer Matt, and we're going to be talking to you and helping you understand vision. So part 1, what do we mean by vision? So Brian, we were talking about this before a little bit earlier, and mentioning, what do we mean by vision? And you had a pretty clear definition. Do you want to share that?
Yeah, I think vision, when it comes to women, has 2 sides to it, like 2 sides of the same coin. Part of why vision is important is because it's something that you do outside of women. And if a woman thinks that you're only interested in something, or you're only talking about something because you're trying to attract her or get sex from her, that's an instant turnoff. So women are very aware of, when you're talking about something, is it something you really care about? And a lot of times the thing that attracts a woman to a man first is seeing that man in action, seeing him be good at something, or seeing him have a lot of skill or expertise in something. And then the second part of vision is when the man expresses that vision to the woman and she gets kind of caught up in it. She gets caught up in his passion. So it's got to be something that the guy is really interested in, and that gets, it's like addictive to the woman.
Right. And it's not, I think it's important to point out that it's not just having some kind of hobby or just having something that you do, but having a true passion for that thing. It's not enough just to have something that you do once in a while, like, you have some kind of stamp collection, but it sits in your basement, right, and you never pay attention to it. But the real thing that you need to show her is the fact that you're relentlessly going after something.
It's something that's actually going on in your life, and it's a direction that you're moving towards.
Right. This is common in romance novels too. If you ever pick up a romance novel, which I have out of curiosity because these things sell more. This is like the porn for women.
Right.
It's like the biggest. I think it's like 51% of all books sold are romance novels, and this is how women. This is their escape. The same way that men look at porn on the computer or wherever else, women read romance novels.
And all 51% of that, that's all women buying it.
Right.
That's no guys are buying that.
Right. Exactly. So if you look at these things, there's usually the main character, which is the man, and he's usually on some kind of quest, or he has some kind of vision, and somehow he meets her along the way, and she gets wrapped up with him, and then they end up sleeping together.
A lot of times, the hero will actually begrudgingly bring her along.
Right.
What pops into my head right now is Indiana Jones, where there's a woman that's actually...
That's perfect.
Yeah, kind of getting in his way a little bit, or like, he likes her, but he has this bigger goal, and he brings her along almost like she's an extra because he thinks she can help him.
Right.
Otherwise, he has really no reason to.
Right. Right. When you say begrudgingly, you mean like he's almost resistant to bringing her along?
Yeah, and I don't think you necessarily have to do that, but I think that, in real life, I don't think you have to be negative about it or be, begrudging about, oh, okay, fine, you can be a part of my life.
Right.
But it just illustrates the point that, that's kind of this archetypal, it's like this archetype of like this, the man, the hero is on this quest, and it's not about the woman, he brings her along to help him.
Right.
It's almost like he doesn't even want to. He wasn't even thinking about it, and that really illustrates that point. Is a lot of times it's like he doesn't even want to, but he does anyway.
Right. And she almost always plays some kind of role in his quest.
Exactly.
But he's doing the quest for him or some bigger purpose. He's not doing it in any way or shape or form to impress her. He's doing it anyway, and she ends up coming along either by accident and she has to be with him, or because she has some like... what was the one where they were chasing after the Nazis? Didn't she have some... She had something that he needed.
Exactly.
Yeah, I forgot what it was, but she has either it was information or some kind of... he went to the bar and she had like a necklace thing that he needed to actually find it, and she ended up going along with him.
You'll see that further exemplified with, there'll be like a scene in a movie where the man is like, he doesn't take the woman seriously, and then they get in like a fight with some other, the villains, and the woman like kicks ass, and then he looks at her differently, he's like, okay, you can come with me now. Right. And that's a movie, that's extreme, but it just illustrates the point, and the reason why that's a powerful effect when people watch is because it hits home. It's aligned with a wiring that we already have, a primal wiring. Right.
Now, Matt, I know you work with a lot of different clients, and one of the things that you do is you help them find their vision. And one of the challenges people have that I encounter when they come to me is they say, Vin, I don't feel like I have a vision, or I don't know what my vision is. And it's very worthwhile to help them figure out what it is. Matt, do you have any ideas on helping someone find their vision?
Absolutely. I can think of a lot of clients, but one in particular who came to me, and although he had interests, he didn't really have a vision that was inspiring for him. And I see this with a lot of people where there's almost two of them. There's the first one, a side of them that is uninspired, can be low in energy, low in motivation. And then there's another side of them when this vision clicks in, that all of a sudden they get full of energy, they get motivated, and they almost become inspirational to people around them. So I know with myself, people are sick of hearing it, but I'm really into dancing. I'm crazy about winning in competition, and it's such a vision for me. I mean, I wake up early in the morning to go to the gym, I train, I fly into state to train with a coach. Like, I'm really, really into it. I know my girlfriend comes along to competitions and cheers me on, and it is a real thing for me. It is a vision I have in my life that really gets me up early in the morning, energizes me during the day, keeps me up late at night, and I'm always looking for ways to help it. Even my work is really a way to help me improve my dancing. It's almost an obsession of mine at the moment.
All right, that's cool. So part two is, why is vision attractive to women? Now you said you had an example on that. You want to share that?
I've got one really good example of a guy I coached who was at university, and he came to me having been kicked out of university a couple of times for not completing exams, for dropping out of subjects and not handing in assignments. And he was on his last legs, and we worked together to really create a vision for his life on where he wanted to be in 5 and 10 years' time. And once we put that together, and it really excited him, and he had a vision for his life that he was just really, really excited about, his total performance at university changed. I mean, he went from barely ever completing a single subject to doing 4 subjects per semester and getting some of the highest possible marks. He went from being a very bad student to being an amazing student. And during that process, his success with women really skyrocketed. It was no surprise to me that they both fitted in really well together.
I think that vision does a lot of things for a woman all at once. It separates you from other guys because typically your vision is going to be very specific and unique to you. So, meeting a guy who's into this specific, unique goal is going to give her a new experience. And women, guys tend to all be the same. They try to say the right things, which means they all end up saying the same thing. The average job is very typical. It's in a cubicle or something. And so if you're really moving towards some passion, even if it's just a hobby, she's going to learn new things. She's going to have new experiences with you that she's never had before. I think the other thing it does is it implies that you're going to be successful if you're not already. And having the potential to be successful is just as powerful in a woman as actually being successful. And women, when they say like what's most attractive to them in terms of like a guy's job or whatever, they don't say, "Oh, I like a man who has a great job." They say, "I like a man who's motivated and is going somewhere." So you don't necessarily need to be super successful right now. Just having that passion implies that you will be. And even if you never get there, that passion instills that same emotion in her. And I think the other thing that it does is it makes her feel safe with you. Because I liken it to, going to a forest, and you go to the nature center and you want a guide who will take you through the forest. That you come to the entry point in the forest where the trail is, and your guide looks at you and says, "Okay, so where should we go?" That'd be a scary feeling, and you wouldn't want to go on that journey with that guide who doesn't know what he's doing. If you have a direction and a vision, and you know what you're doing with your life, she's going to feel really safe. She's going to feel like you're going to take her on a journey, and you're going to be able to take care of both of you. You're going to be able to protect her, and she will be safe. She will be out of danger. Combine that with having a great new experiences, and also just instilling that emotion in her that where she feels like you and she are going to have a great life together. You're going somewhere together. That's so powerful. So you're doing a lot of things at once just by figuring out your vision outside of women.
It's an escape from boredom. I remember when I was a little bit younger, I think six years ago, I ended up dating this woman who, she was rich. She was a millionaire. And I, at the time, I was like broke. I think I made like negative money that year, if that's even possible. But I was really into playing guitar, and that's what I did. And common sense would tell you that this woman who had like all this money would want an even more successful boyfriend, or more successful guy. And the other guys that were trying to date her or hit on her, these were guys that were making tons and tons of money. Like, they were extremely successful. And the fact that I had this vision and this passion for playing guitar as a musician kind of bypassed that. It's like you could compete. You could try to compete with that, and you can try and like make more money than those guys. Like, you can try to become like, a billionaire or whatever. But it's so much easier and effective just to have passion. And I even asked her, why are you attracted to me, or why do you want to date me? And she said that the one of the main reasons is that I played guitar, and she was actually interested in that. She said she was sick of all the same types of guys hitting on her and the same types of guys like in her daily work life, and that it was a refreshing thing to see someone that was creative and actually doing something that they really cared about. She had the idea that those guys, even though they had a lot of money, they weren't really passionate about what they were doing.
I think most people follow the status quo, and they get on a track, high school, maybe college, and then they get a job that pays the bills, and they don't really look beyond that in terms of how they're going to make their money or how they're going to spend their time. They get complacent, and so since that's the case, that means that most people, the majority of people, are all doing the same thing. They spend their days the same way. So just by the fact that you have a passion, you instantly separate yourself from the pack.
And I think as well that it changes your energy levels, and women can almost tell that you're a guy who lives with that vision. I've found that the more I've got in touch with my vision, the more women have just become automatically attracted to me, the less work I've needed to do. And when I think about it, if you hate your life, if you've got a vision for the future that, you're not looking forward to at all, you're going to have to work so hard to be positive, to be happy. You're not going to be the sort of guy, I don't think, that a woman is just going to run after and grab. Whereas I found that the more I got in touch with my vision, the more women approached me, the better responses I had. It was almost as if they could just sense I was someone who was just really enjoying my life.
And it gives you something to talk about. Guys are always asking, what do I say to girls? Well, if you have something going on in your life, then that's your material. That's what you talk about. And a guy who thinks like that, he's going to be asking her questions about, what's important to her and where she's going in her life, the things she values. And that's a real conversation right there. Most guys don't think like that. So that instantly gives you stuff to talk about, and it gives you stuff to ask her about.
Yep. I think, too, this is kind of, vision almost forms like an easy way of generating jealousy. I mean, it's not real jealousy, but I've noticed that when women see you putting all this time, energy, and effort into something that you really care about, they want a little bit of that for themselves, too. So it gives them a challenge. Like, how can I get that? It's a challenge that's never really kind of completed, because if she does take all of that passion and she removes it all from those things that you're going after, her attraction for you kind of goes away. So in a sense, as long as you have this vision, something that you're going after that's not her, it gives her something to do. It gives her a challenge of trying to channel and take some of that passion for herself.
And how often do women say they want a challenge? And I think that, they want a challenge from the man. That's what's attractive to them. And I think that men think that challenge means, I'm going to play games, or I'm going to play hard to get. When you get sucked into that, you're going to make mistakes. And as soon as a woman can tell that you're playing games, she's going to lose attraction. The natural way to be a challenge that's foolproof is to have a vision outside of women.
Right. Okay, so part 3, how to determine what your vision is. And there's, Matt, I think you probably have the best kind of method for doing this. Do you want to get into that?
Absolutely. There's a few exercises I get my clients to do when they're putting together their vision. The first is simply to write down on a single page where you want to be in 12 months' time. So in as much detail, where you want to be living, what do you want to be doing. Make it realistic, but also challenging. And you want to start to develop in your mind clearly exactly what you want in your life. How do you want to live your life? What do you want to be doing with your time? What sort of things do you want to own? What sort of things do you want to do? Who do you want to be as a person? If you can, put that on a single page. And the best thing about vision is that vision is describing something you want to attain in the future. You don't need to have anything now. So as soon as you start putting down ideas on where you want to be in the future, that is your vision. I think that guys get too stuck because they think they need too clear a single goal to have vision. They think they need something like winning tennis at Wimbledon or something that is just so clearly definable. And they get really stuck with that because they often have a lot of ideas on what they want to do with their life. They often don't want to just pick one single thing. And the best thing with vision is that you don't actually need to. You can have multiple goals. You can have several things you want to do with your life. And that's the best thing about vision, is that it doesn't have to be limited. You can have the best of both worlds and you can have many things. So what you want to do is really, in as much detail, describe where you want to be in 12 months' time, where you want to be living, who do you want your friends to be, what is your relationship status, what are you eating for breakfast, what is the bed that you go to sleep in like. Just describe in as much detail what you want your life to be like.
I actually had a client about 2 days ago approach me and ask me how to determine his vision. And what he basically told me was that he was between jobs and that he was trying to figure out something else. And a really important distinction is to understand that your vision is not necessarily your job. For most people, for 90% of the people listening to this, is probably not your job. But that's fine. The fact that you have a job and you have something else that you're passionate about, that's not a problem. You need to emphasize the thing that you're passionate about. Don't be stuck on, trying to emphasize your job. That's one of the mistakes guys make, is that they're always talking about their job and this and that. And if you're not passionate about your job, if your job is not aligned with your vision, then don't talk about it. Talk about that thing that you're passionate about, that you spend all of your free time doing, and that's really where the sweet spot is.
And there's a technique I use called 10 out of 10 goals. And what you want to do is your vision and everything in it needs to be at 10 out of 10 for you. So if you put a part of your vision there, which is to maybe have a certain job or have a certain car, ask yourself what your motivation out of 10 for reaching that is. If it's a 7 or an 8, delete it. Begin to live in terms of tens. Start to describe things and put things in your vision that are just the ultimate excitement for. Start to put things in your vision that are just your ultimate personal interpretation of exciting. Don't be afraid if they're silly. Don't think of what other people will think. These needs to be yours and yours only.
Yep. Some other visions that people don't necessarily consider visions would be things like traveling, being a musician, art, being a DJ. Sometimes partying is a vision. Just being a very social guy and going out a lot. Do you have any more examples?
I think overall, the way I think about it is like, what do you daydream about? What do you fantasize about? Besides, women. I'm not talking about sexual fantasies, but when your mind is wandering and you picture yourself doing some cool thing that you think you'd really enjoy, what is that? And then taking it seriously, figuring out a way to do it. And I really like Matt's example. I actually had Matt actually gave me some success coaching, and it was immensely powerful for me. And I think the most powerful part of it was the clarity I got from it, from his questions, there were the different kind of questions that he was asking me. Not just questions like, well, what do you want to do? But more like, if you could picture yourself doing this and this, these really, strange and creative hypothetical questions. After a while, I started to really get clear on the kind of person I was, on what my values were. So I think integral to vision is clarity. Figure out what you're passionate about and get really clear on the details of it. That's actually an exercise we did where, Matt was asking me, what's the weather like? What time of day is it? Who's around you? What do they look like? What are they saying? And so filling in all these details and getting really clear on it was immensely helpful for me.
And on top of that, your vision for your entire life is going to be a work in progress. People try and perfect their vision before taking action or trying to live it. And what I've found is that I never stop getting clarity. I never stop refining my vision. It's continually a work in progress. Not having your perfect vision is not a reason to not pursue it, because you're always going to be altering it and changing it and learning things. You're better off defining a vision, going after it, and then continually adjusting it based on what happens.
I think inherent to your vision is an element of risk taking. And this is another thing that's so incredibly attractive to women. Just conveying to women that you're a risk taker in any aspect of your life is extremely attractive. Maybe not so much like sexually a risk taker, like, STDs or anything like that. But like, I'm thinking more along the lines of saying that you do, you've had adventures or that you've tried new things, or, talking about something that you did that you were scared to do. That's incredibly attractive to women. And I think that I've heard from several really successful people, in articles and things, that the difference between a successful guy and a guy who's not successful is that the successful guy is willing to go through more failures, and he's willing to take more risks. And so I guess a good way to put it is that it comes with the territory. Taking risks comes with the territory when it comes to vision. So if you have a vision, but you're not willing to take risks for it, maybe you're not that passionate about it. Maybe you need to get more clear on what that vision is. But you'll see that once you do get clear, and once you find something that's really exciting to you, and you start taking risks to get it, women notice that. I mean, on a biological level, it actually raises your testosterone, which is always attractive to women. But, it also does something to your personality where, the little petty things in life don't scare you. You look people in the eye when you talk to them. You just have this kind of go-getter energy to you where you're like, you have more, like Matt said, you have more energy. And when you're doing something, you do it all the way. You have like a strength or a power behind what you're doing. And that's because you're taking risks now. It's part of who you are now. And women sense that in a guy instantly.